Hi, I am live 1 minute late. Oh no, that's what kids do to you in the summer. They make you a minute late. It's all good. So I'm here. Sorry about that, to keep you guys holding there for a minute. Good morning. It is Friday. Happy to be here. I will give you all a minute to jump on in before I jump into my quick topic, and then we will do a live Q&A. So if you have some questions, start thinking about them. Happy Friday to you, Naya. Thank you for saying hello. I see a few of you jumping in on Instagram. I am live on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook all at the same time, and managing all of your comments all at the same time. So if you have questions, or you want to, you just want to listen, that's cool. You want to say hello, give me a heart, give me a thumbs, let me know that my internet's working well, my sound is looking well. I was looking at, as I usually do on Fridays, looking at some of the medical health news and seeing, what is the world talking about in regards to health today. And I came across an article that I thought might be a great discussion. And it has to do with exercise, because I think most of us know that movement is really important, right? We were built to move. And not only does it reduce stress, but it helps remove toxins and it keeps our muscles strong. And for me, as a woman in my late 40s, I'm really looking at how can I keep my muscles strong, my body strong, so that I don't fall as I get older, so that I can stay active as long as possible. And the question of exercise comes up a lot. So how many of you out there feel like you eat pretty well and you exercise, but you don't lose any weight? I hear this all the time. People are like, oh, I work out every day. I don't get it. It's like we think we're 20, and we could just starve ourselves for 4 days and then all of a sudden we lose 10 pounds and fit into the dress. Like, that doesn't work as you get older, does it? So the question is, what do we do? What types of exercise? Because I do think we have this wrong. We've been trained that the harder we go, the more we do, the more we push, the harder we push, the faster we push, the more we'll lose weight. But there's actually something that happens in the presence of stress that prevents you from losing weight when your body or your adrenals are under stress, and can actually have you gain weight while exercising like that. So it was interesting because I talk about this quite a bit, but as I was scrolling through, the news this morning, there was this study, this article saying high intensity exercise could lead to weight gain, researchers say. And this was an animal study, although I can say I see this to run true in the humans, that activity levels and when you work out and how you work out have an impact on your circadian rhythm. They have an impact on your cortisol. And if you are someone who does the other aspects, like the other 4 pillars of my adrenal recovery, like looking at proper nutrition, mindset, supplements, right? If you're doing all of that, exercise can help benefit the rhythm. But if you're not, the exercise can actually be seen as a stress on the body. And when the body is under stress, guess what? We increase our insulin levels, which increases our fat deposition, which gives us a little abdomen, right? And so often we're like, gosh, I work out all the time and I feel like all I do is get heavier or I don't lose weight. Anyone notice that? I love Naya. Naya said, I love exercise. It truly boosts my mood. I do it daily. That is why we exercise, right? I think so many of us go out there and say, oh, I'm going to exercise to lose a pound. I'm going to lose a pound. And it's like, wait a minute. Why are we exercising? Perspective. I'll tell you why I exercise. I exercise because it does boost my mood. And it makes me feel strong and be strong, so that on the weekends when I want to do something around the house, like climb up on a ladder and hang something or whatever, I feel confident that my body can get me up there. I also want to continue to be able to take my kids and grandkids to Disneyland and walk around all day. I want to be able to travel. I want to be able to move. So I exercise to stay mobile and strong. I changed my perspective on that. Many years ago, I used to exercise to keep body weight in check or to keep to keep a physical appearance. And now I've just changed the mindset. I exercise in order to keep myself strong and healthy. And ironically, it also tends to benefit my appearance. So I was curious, how many of you burn yourself out with exercise? Or You're not exercising because you feel like you have to burn yourself out in order to get the benefits. Anyone? Bad topic for today? If you have other questions, start rolling them in. I see one on Instagram. I'll be there in a second. No? You know, when I work with all these people in like my total energy turnaround group, and we talk about exercise and we talk about weight loss and we talk about all these things, this is one of the biggest conversations. Women either feel like they can't work out to the capacity that they're supposed to get any relief, or they work out way too hard, right? Or they don't think it's enough to just be moving every day. Like their mindset shift is weird on it. They're like, oh, I'm just more worried about the scale than I am about the strength. So I do think it's an important point to look at everything you do in your life for being healthy. You know, it needs to be something that's joyous to you. So that's why I dance and I do Pilates. Put me in a gym and I'm like, I just want to get out. I don't like it. I don't like the buzz. I don't like the people around me. I don't like to feel like I have to hurry and get off the treadmill because somebody else wants to get on it. Like that's not an environment that's cohesive to me and my mindset and what I need to be healthy. It's just not, right? It's one thing for me to go to a class at a gym if it's like a dance class or something like that, but don't put me on a weight machine in the gym unless nobody is there, right? So you have to kind of figure out what works for you, but there's a lot of research on heavy exercise and really pushing yourself in exercise having a very negative impact on the cortisol rhythm, the sleep-wake cycles. And although it can have a positive impact if you're doing all the other things, it may have a negative impact. So if you're one of those people listening that doesn't want to speak up, that feels like you're doing everything right, you're pushing things, you're working out, and you're not seeing what you want to see physically in your body, you're missing the adrenal portion. The body is stressed and you have to come back and really work on that. Yeah. Okay. A very important part of my self-care. It is a priority for me. Good. Me too. It's good. How do you guys like the green today? It's fun, right? Olive green. It's a little fun. All right. Well, you guys are not jumping off on this topic. So let's jump into the questions today. I thought that would be a good topic, but hey, okay. Nobody wants to talk about exercise, right? By the way, how is it June? I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to go anywhere this summer? It's already June and I don't know. I have a suggestion about headaches. Do you have any recommendations for someone who's having severe headaches on one side behind the eye who has had a CT scan that's normal? Well, I mean, good news is if it's normal, that means there's not a tumor or something that's occluding it. But keep in mind that headaches have multiple causes, okay? Multiple. And it's really about investigating all of those individual items to figure out what's causing the headache. I tend to find hydration levels, detoxification, and leaky gut contribute to a lot of those headaches. Stress can absolutely contribute to the headaches. One, because we go like this, right? But also you're depleting a lot of nutrients like magnesium that help relax the muscles of the neck, electrolytes that help us absorb the water that we drink. So I guess the question is, it needs to come down to, is it a physical related headache? Is it a metabolic related headache? What are the blood sugars like? What are the electrolytes like? Are we dehydrated? Is it a nutritional headache, meaning that there's a deficiency in something that's not allowing blood flow to that area or not having proper blood flow to that area? Is it lifestyle related? Is it stress, right? And is there a leaky gut? Could there be food allergies or intolerances? Could it be that the gut health is not there? And that's a very common cause of headaches. So Garden Moose, my answer is start investigating. It's great that it's not an outright physical thing in the head, like damage to the head. That's great. But the majority of the headaches are not. I do have an article at drpingle.com on headaches. So take a look at that. If the liver is not working well, it could be hormonal. It could be toxin related, which can also cause stress. So all of these things that I mentioned can also compound on top of each other. So it might be multiple of those playing a role. So got to look at all. Got to look at all. Thank you. The word cluster headache has come up. Yeah, all that means is that the headache clusters in one spot. That's what that means. Like, I love diagnoses. It's so funny. It always cracks me up. It's like when I used to go to the gynecologist, and I'm like, wow, my period's really heavy. They're like, oh yeah, you have menorrhagia, which literally means excessive bleeding during period. I'm like, oh, you think it's a diagnosis that means something. All it is a fancy way to say exactly what you just said. So if you're like, hey, I have a headache and it's always in one spot, clusters above my eye, they call it a cluster headache. Great. It doesn't mean anything per se. It just means it clusters above the eye, which you already knew, right? So half of these diagnoses out there that you get, don't mean anything. They're just stating the facts in a different way so that they can bill it to insurance, So unless, sorry, my chair is like in weird locations. If you see me moving around, I'm like, I'm not comfy. So I think unless you have a diagnosis that's actually pinpointing the cause of the symptom, having a symptom diagnosis isn't overly helpful in figuring out what to do, right? So if you go to, Dr. Google and you say what to do with cluster headaches, it's not going to be any different than what to do with headaches, right? It is interesting learning all of that when I was going through medical school and learning how they group and diagnose is a very interesting process, right? Exactly. You guys are quiet today. Where is everyone? I will be here next week, by the way, but the following I will not be. So I had an amazing podcast interview yesterday with Dr. Jen Simmons, who is a breast cancer doc who's amazing. And I don't know when it's going to be released, but what an amazing conversation. I'm going to make sure that I keep you guys in the loop on there because we talked about so much, especially when it comes to breast health, but also just in general, how we end up to those cancer diagnoses over time, right? It's like you feel like you wake up one day and there's cancer, but there really is this long process for years in advance that we do have the capacity to slow. And it was a really good conversation. And I don't know if she's watching today or not. She's a busy lady, probably not. But thank you to Dr. Jen for having me on yesterday. That was a lot of fun. And she's just a doll. And so it's always fun when I get that opportunity to talk to somebody who is kind of on the same realm of I don't know, I guess, outlook towards medicine, but in a different field, because I don't treat cancer, so having her perspectives on it and the two of us kind of going back and forth and collaborating was amazing. One of my biggest complaints of the current healthcare system is that we're all segmented. It's like if you have a stomach ache, you go to the GI, if you have a headache, you go to the neurologist. If you have a stuffy nose, you go to the ENT, and then you have the primary care, and then you have the mental health doctor, and then you have, it's like you have the dermatologist, and we break all these up into different doctors, and nobody talks to each other. Where likely if everyone sat down in a room together and discussed the patient, they'd probably come to the root cause pretty darn fast, right? So we talked a little bit about that. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah. Yes. And these specialists have 6 to 12 month wait lists. Well, exactly. If you have a problem, it's like you're waiting 12 months to get in with them. It's like, oh, for heaven's sakes, and then they don't talk to the other person, and if you go to a surgeon, they tell you the solution is surgery. Or you go to the PT for the same problem, they tell you the solution is PT, right? How confusing, right? I think one of the things that when I graduated med school, I was like, all right, I kind of want to be like the doctor that you used to invite over for dinner that like knew the dog's name and the kids and the spouse and kind of knew the lifestyle, because so much of that goes into health. There's so much in health that you don't see in a doctor's office. And I've had people over the years say, well, what does your office look like? Do you have 5 rooms? Do you have this machine and that machine? And the answer is no. I have a comfortable chair with a nice view and nice music and coffee and tea, because the bottom line is the role that I play in the big picture is to bring everything together and to get to the root issue. And that requires trust and comfort and time, right? So that we can figure out what it is, right? Versus like rolling off all these symptoms in a 5-minute office visit and in this cold room in a gown, and then quickly listening to your heart and shooting you out. Every other doctor does that. So I don't need to do that, right? All you have to do is go to a primary care or a gynecologist once a year. You'll get that, right? But how many actually sit down and really get to the bottom of the issue? And I think, and look at labs and really dive in. And I think that's important. You don't need this big space and all this fancy equipment to do that. You just need time. And time is important. All right, got some questions. All right. I really wish the different types of docs would talk to each other about the patient. Yeah, right? Yeah. So competitive. They're like worried. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Doesn't make any sense. I work with other naturopaths often. Like I'll refer a patient to another naturopath because they're better at what they do than what I do. And then we'll just talk and we'll work it out and we'll figure it out and we'll do what we do. And that's what we do. And the patient gets better. And that's the ultimate goal, right? So it's not about me holding on to everything and trying to do everything. There's a lot of things I'm not good at, right? I'm not good at treating cancer, so I don't, right? But I have great colleagues who do. And I'm great at prepping the body to be as healthy as possible to not go down that path, right? And addressing the stress, so that if you do get transferred to a cancer doctor, you're in a better hands and better health state going into it, right? All right, question here. Recent diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. Hoping to lower blood sugar naturally, avoiding metformin. Appreciate suggestions to lowering blood sugar level. Okay, let's talk blood sugar. So I am an adrenal fatigue doctor. So let's start with the aspect of how blood sugar plays into stress and how stress plays into blood sugar. So immediately when someone's diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, people automatically say clean up diet and exercise. They're not wrong, right? Because obviously we want to make sure that you're not putting in any exogenous sugars. We want to make sure that you're burning off excess sugar. So there's no question there. And we can come back to that and how to do that as well. But something to think about is that diabetes is a metabolic disease. It's an adaptation. Type 2 diabetes is an adaptation, meaning that the body used to have low blood sugar. And over time, the blood sugar went up and went up and went up and went up, right? Over time. This is a slow process. You don't just wake up one day with diabetes type 2, right? And that's at the function of insulin going higher and higher and higher and higher. So a lot of people look at this just straight as diet and say, oh, well, you must have been eating a bunch of junk and that's why your insulin went up and that's why you have diabetes. Very well may be true. But there's one big major thing that causes insulin resistance that endocrinologists do not talk about. Do you want to know what that is? Want some feedback? Do you want to know what that is? No feedback? The answer is cortisol. When you are in the woods and you are running from a bear and running from another bear and running from another bear, when you have stress in your life that just continues, when you are surviving and pushing through and continuing to stay in a fight or flight response, chronic cortisol stimulation will stimulate insulin. And when insulin is stimulated, it drops your blood sugar, which is scary. And your body says, no, I don't want that bear. I'm going to raise my blood sugar. And it prompts the liver to create more sugar to put into the body. And what you see is over the course of years, you'll see the blood glucose getting higher and higher and higher and higher. But the hemoglobin A1C may not be yet. And then that starts creeping up. And then we have a diagnosis of diabetes. And the only treatment that is prescribed is metformin, diet, and weight loss. But nobody says, hey, what's your stress level? What are your cortisol levels? Is your body adapting to stress? And the reason I bring this up is that if you don't address that with diabetes, in addition to the other lifestyle, you will only get so far. You have to address it. So keep in mind that when the body does this, when the body prompts the liver to make more sugar, when the insulin is creeping up, that changes electrolytes, that changes the way that we create energy. So now our body is confused because you've just taken carbs away with the diet, which, is a standard diet, is lower carb diet. Okay, fine. This is just general theory, right? So you're taking that away, and that's our fastest source of energy. So now the body says, well, how am I going to run from this bear? I don't have any energy. You just took my energy source away. Sugar was my energy. So now the theory is that it'll start taking from the fat. But what people aren't considering is that if you still have a bear, the body's going to keep bringing up insulin's, going to pack on more fat to the abdomen, and then you can't lose the weight. Are you guys following me here? I break this down step by step in my book. What happens when cortisol gets involved with diabetes? I firmly believe, and I will stand on a hill till the day that I die and say this, that part of the reason our diabetes epidemic is through the roof, particularly in children, is not simply diet. It's diet with stress, diet and cortisol. Bing, 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 run, 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 got to keep up, run, 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 bear, 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 bear. As we do that, our body is adapting to survive, and it adapts by putting on weight. Weight can cause diabetes, right? Excess weight due to high insulin, which causes diabetes, right? That also causes inflammation. It also causes us to crave foods that we shouldn't be eating, which then worsens the process. That inflammation has an impact on our heart that's already stressed out from running from a bear. So now we have higher cholesterol, we have higher blood pressure, we have higher insulin, we therefore have higher glucose. So let's talk metformin. Are you guys liking this or too much? Can we talk metformin? One of the number one prescriptions in the country. Any of you on metformin? Right? Anyone know the number one side effect to metformin other than diarrhea and weight loss, which is the one that's touted? Oh, you'll have diarrhea and weight loss, and that's good, blah, blah, blah. The problem with metformin is it depletes B12 levels. Do you guys want to know what the number one depletions from stress that causes diabetes in the first place is? It is reduction of B vitamins. When you're running from a bear and you're releasing cortisol, your B vitamins are already low. And then we give metformin to sensitize insulin that's seriously high because it thinks you're going to die because you're running from a bear. The body's like, no. So it keeps fighting. They fight each other. You continually deplete B vitamins. And then what? Fatigue, neuropathy, dementia, poor hormone metabolism, high blood pressure because you raise homocysteine, more internal stress, more disease development, disability. Right? Anyone? We can't do this. What are we doing? What if I said that all you had to do to help prevent or treat any chronic disease in our country is actually take a step back and go back to basics, go back to simplicity, go back to not trying to fix freaking everything and focusing on calm, connected, focused. What if you didn't have to control every single little thing that happens? We have been conditioned that we are there to control it. Okay, here's another point. I'm having a hot flash because I'm excited. Is it estrogen or is it cortisol? It's cortisol. So bring it on. All right, let's do it. So, right, what if these things that we have are simply just our body adapting to stress? And if we just took a step back and really, really, really honed in on what bears are we creating, because we create a lot, and what bears can we control or not control, and we were able to take back our health rather than always trying to look for the quick fix to fix the problem. I see the question about Ozempic. I will talk about it. I will probably offend somebody out there, but I will talk about it. Just give me a second. I think it's a great question. If anyone else wants to hear my take on Ozempic, say yes, yes, yes. I don't want to make people mad, but at the same time, there's no quick fix for long-term health. You know, if you have a bank and you want to make $1 million by the time you retire, it's not like you work one day or 6 weeks and you have $1 million to go retire. You have to slowly contribute to that. Let the interest compound, keep putting into it so that when you retire, you have money. Your health is exactly the same way. It's exactly the same way. And you will never hear me promise to anyone that my supplement will fix all their problems. It won't. It's a supplement. It's meant to be there to fill a gap in the meantime while they figure out where the cause is, right? So when you look at, why am I not sleeping? I can easily say, yeah, you can take this, this, and this to help you go to sleep. But the ultimate result has to come from really looking at where it's coming from originally, fixing the cortisol rhythm and that type of thing. And then we don't have to use the supplement, right? If you're on metformin, you have to take a methylated B. Do your doctors tell you that? You have to. You can't avoid that because you're depleting it faster than imagined. And that brings on neuropathy faster. And then they give you gabapentin. And then you wonder why your neurotransmitters are starting to change. Gee, why do I feel like I'm always stressed out? Why is my epinephrine so high? Why is my fight or flight so high? Or why am I so sedated? Because it's messing with your neurotransmitters. It's GABA, right? So we have to look at this as a whole thing. And I would say if you want to know how to help your diabetes, back to the original question, from a natural perspective without using metformin, this is the first step. I do have an article on it that's brief on drpingle.com that kind of says what I just said, but there is a whole chapter. Chapter 2, I think. I go into it right away because I think it's huge. Yep. The adrenal diabetes connection starts on chapter 2, page 31. Read it. And please look to reduce the stress. Look to making your life simpler and give the nutritious food and move. We were built to move. That does not mean you have to go to Orange Theory, beat your head against the machine, work yourself into exhaustion. It means you have to move. Okay. Aaron's saying people with diabetes should watch the documentary Simple Raw Reversing Diabetes in 30 Days on YouTube. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. There's a huge debate, and I happen to agree with some of the forks over knives on this. They say carbs are fine during diabetes, and I agree. This is a metabolic disease. This isn't about I can't eat this. This is about how do I give my body the nutrition and the food it needs to work properly. And we need carbohydrates to work properly. Now, we don't need the wrong type, and they need to be balanced out, and we need a lot of protein, and we need exercise, and we need, it's not just a one-time, cut out the carbs, do this diet, and your diabetes will go away. No. In fact, even the regulations for where they want your number, your hemoglobin A1C, to be stable is like 7 or something, which is ridiculous. If you're fixing it, it should go back down to normal, should it not? Yeah. People want my take on Ozempic. Okay. First of all, anything I say here does not apply to everybody. There are a lot of people out there that have struggled with significant weight gain for a very long time, and their lives are at stake if they don't lose some weight to get the ball rolling. Okay. So when we're talking about morbidly obese, we're talking about people with chronic diseases. We're talking about people with, type 2 diabetes, that their hearts are compromised and their life is in danger. There may be a place for Ozempic. Okay. In a controlled, medically controlled environment, along with proper diet and lifestyle. So I'm going to speak to Ozempic as it's being utilized right now in the general community as a weight loss drug. It is dangerous to do this because, one, it starves your body. Now, I don't know a single person in this particular group of people that I'm talking about, that doesn't have some sort of adrenal fatigue, that isn't a busy person that wants to get things done. Maybe they run a company, maybe they have a bunch of kids, maybe they're all day long, they're blah, blah, blah. They're just doing all sorts of stuff. They are under a cortisol thumb, right? They're living in fight or flight, which is probably the reason why that weight isn't coming off. I hear all the time, I exercise every day, Dr. Pingle. I eat right every day. I'm not losing any weight. I don't understand. I think I'm going to try Ozempic. Okay. And maybe, like I said, maybe there's some certain situations where you've worked with your doctor and there's some metabolic things that you're trying to fix. But in general, the reason why that weight isn't coming off is because the body is stressed. So this particular drug starves you. It's a forced starvation. You do not eat. And if you've taken it, you know this. You literally can't. You feel nauseous when you can't eat. So if I said to you, okay, I want you to become anorexic for 8 weeks. I don't want you to eat more than 200 calories a day so that you can lose 20 pounds. Would you consider that healthy? In someone who maybe only has 20 pounds to lose. It scares me because it puts the body into a stress state. So then what happens when they try to come off of it is they go ahead and start eating again. There was a study that came out, and this just came out a couple days ago. In fact, I thought about talking about it last week, but it's like 80% of the people who do Ozempic gain back the weight and more within 2 years, more than they originally were. So you originally wanted to lose 10 pounds. You lost 20. Now within 2 years, you're 20 pounds higher than you were originally because it's not sustainable. I don't know about you, but it is exhausting trying to do everything right and to micromanage diets. It's not sustainable. And that's why so many people fail at it. Because it's not looking at life as what are we going to do for the rest of our lives? It's looking at, I'm going to do this diet for a month, or I'm going to do this medication for 3 months. But they're having a hard time with people coming off of it. I also get concerned, and I actually had a discussion with an MD a couple weeks ago about it, where I said, I'm fearing that it's causing diabetes. And she said, well, that doesn't make any sense. It's meant to lower diabetes. And I said, no, it's meant to reduce diabetes or improve the diabetes state in people who are already diabetic. But what happens when you give it to somebody who isn't diabetic? And she was like, well, I wouldn't see how it would be any different. And I said, well, if you're not eating and we're changing insulin, we're suppressing insulin in somebody who isn't diabetic, and they're under stress and their cortisol is off and the insulin is trying to combat that, to prompt the blood sugar to come up, what's going to happen? Physiologically, their blood sugar is going to drop, which is one of the number one side effects. Their insulin is going to drop, which is one of the number one side effects. And that puts them in danger. My job, my first job as a physician, the first oath I take when I graduated med school is do no harm. So if I'm going to put a medication into somebody that I think is going to give them harm, that goes against the foundation of my ethic. Now, I'm going to piss some people off with that. So I'm going to repeat in case you caught it. There is a time and a place for everything, risk versus benefits. But if you're someone who eats right, exercises, and is trying to lose 10 or 20 pounds, please, there are ways to do it. Address your stress first. Give it time. Go through it in the full way before looking at a quick fix like that. Or be well aware of the outcome of that and come up with a long-term plan on how you're going to manage it. Not to mention, it's like $1,000 a month. I'm sure I've told you guys this, but when my mom was dying of cancer, like me, she was a model. She was far more successful than I was in that she was fairly well known in her circles and was a beautiful woman and modeled from the time she was a teen all the way through pretty much until her death. And she spent her entire life having to worry about her weight and her appearance, her entire life. And I can resonate with that when you're just constantly feel like you're being judged on how you look, right? That's just the industry, right? And when she was dying of cancer, she was ridiculously thin because she was so thin going into getting cancer that when it started to waste she didn't have the strength. She didn't have enough muscle strength because she didn't focus on muscle building. She focused on weight loss her whole life. She didn't have the muscle strength to walk to the bathroom by herself. So she had to use a walker, and often I had to walk behind her. So about a month before her death, I said, Mom, do you have any regrets in your life at all? And she said, I have one regret. And she goes, I wish I wouldn't have spent so much energy and worry about trying to lose that last 10 pounds, because I would give anything to have that 10 pounds right now. Perspective. That's my take on it. Did I piss everyone off? Did everyone leave? Your perspective? What's your perspective? I'm open to debate on the flip of the coin too. Like I said, not everyone fits into the same box, but thank you, Michelle. Good words right there. Yeah. Not everyone fits into the same box, but at the same time, there's no magic pill for health. And by the way, losing weight does not always mean health. I have been a very, very tiny person throughout my life due to modeling and having to stay smaller. And I can tell you without a doubt, I am far healthier now at 20 pounds heavier than I've ever been in my entire life. Do I still occasionally look in the mirror and go, oh God, I can't fit in that beautiful outfit I bought or whatever? Of course I do. And I have to literally like hit myself over the back of the head and say, Trisha, you are alive. You are not dying of cancer. You're not going to regret worrying about these 10 pounds. You're just going to go, you're going to go to Pilates. You're going to build your strength. You're going to put a good nutrition. You're going to show up for your audience. You're going to give, you're going to pay it forward. You're going to go into life with good energy. You are a beautiful, strong, vibrant woman who has the ability to do whatever I need to do right now. If I want to go for a walk, I can go for a walk. If I want to go to the bathroom, I can go there without a walker. If I want to get in the car and drive somewhere, I can do that. If I want to hang out with my kids, I can do that. And that is something so grateful. I'm so grateful for that. And sitting there staring at myself in the mirror and beating myself up is not benefiting me. It's not helping me achieve anything. If anything, it's knocking me down to not achieve something. And I will not do that to myself anymore. And I would encourage all of you to think about that. When you start getting in that negative space, ask how that's serving you. Is that going to help you get over it? No, it's not. All right. I see some questions. I was going because I saw some questions rolling in. So I want to continue on this. Okay. I hope this was helpful to some of you. I really do. It all starts in our perspective. Why are we here? Was I brought here to be skinny? No, I was brought here to change the world. I was brought here to reconnect people to each other, to reconnect you to yourself, to help people see the value in self-worth, to help you see that you actually have more control over your health than your doctors. That is why I am here. And it doesn't matter what I look like to do that. What matters is the passion that I bring forward to do that, right? The energy that I bring, the commitment that I bring to myself and to you right there. That's what matters. Yeah? I see a lot of people saying extremely helpful. I'm sending this to several people I love. Thank you. Awesome. It's so silly what we put our freaking focus on, man. I'm over it. I'm tired. It's exhausting. It's exhausting to try to be what everyone else wants you to be. So I have some advice for all of you. Don't. Just be who you want to be. Reconnect. One of my top pieces of advice is, what did you love to do when you were a kid? For mine, it was dance. I loved to dance. And I was an actress. I'm sure you can believe that. I was a model, but I was also an actress, and I loved to get up on stage. I love to have fun. I love to be characters. I love to laugh. So I now create my life and my career around dance, laughter. I mean, some of my funny memes, some of you are like, why are you acting in your memes? Like, give me some information. Because it brings me joy to be me, to be able to relay my information to people that maybe just want to laugh a little bit, right? And then I have other reels that are more informational for the people that aren't ready to laugh, right? But those things are really important to me. They're me taking who I am and the stuff that I find fun and turning it into what my life is, so that when I go to work every day, I love my job. Because I don't know, I'm only here for so long. Might as well enjoy it. Right? Okay, some cool stuff here. Okay, I have a pharmacist, and she said all the pharmacy technicians are using Ozempic. Pretty scary. Yeah, and we're going to see a lot of health fallout. Mark my words, on this day, June 14th, we are going to see a higher incidence of type 2 diabetes from the use of Ozempic in non-diabetics. I made some predictions at the beginning of the pandemic, and every single one came true. I'm making that prediction now in non-diabetics. So taking it when not already diabetic. We're going to see more diabetes. I put it out there. Shayna, chicken or egg with brain health? Are neurotransmitter levels causing anxiety, OCD, or is the stress that goes with anxiety stressing the organs, liver, gut, and brain? I'm working on OCD and trying to lower stress, but what else should I work on? GABA or serotonin supplements? Increase my cholesterol because it's low, estrogen. So yeah, I think one of the things to always know is that stress comes in many forms and they feed each other. Okay, so we've got external and we've got internal. So you could have an external stressor. Let's say, I don't know, you're having a big finance hit and there's a lot going on and you're busy, and that causes the cortisol to go up, and the cortisol causes an adaptation, and that adaptation, which may be changes in neurotransmitters, causes a change in the gut. And the change in the gut causes a nutrient deficiency, and the nutrient deficiency causes this. And all of these things now cause internal stress. So it is a hamster wheel. You have to address all, right? So you know what? I don't know if you've looked at, I haven't put it on my website yet, but I would love it if you would get on the phone with one of my total health advocates and ask them about the total anxiety turnaround program. It's a 30-day like stress focused program for reducing anxiety. I haven't formally launched it yet, but it is available. If any of you are interested, you can go to my website to the contact form and fill it out. Just say, hey, I'm interested in chatting about this. And it'll take you to the schedule to talk to one of my staff members about what it is. If you want to learn more, because I don't have it out there. In fact, anything you guys have questions on, you can always reach out to my staff to do that. You can put yourself on their schedule, so they'll call you at the time you want called, because I know that all of you are busy and we don't always reach each other with phone tag. So I think there is a role with all of it, is my point. When the neurotransmitters off, that causes stress to the body. When the gut is off, that causes changes in neurotransmitters. When we're under stress, we don't absorb nutrients. I would say another great place for you to start on would be start here. So if any of you are like, wow, how does cortisol impact my blank? That's what this book is about. It talks about how cortisol impacts our health, specifically all the conditions that are the top medicated conditions in our country: heartburn, thyroid, hormones, sleep, anxiety, depression, bloating, IBD, all these types of things. It talks about how cortisol has an impact on it, and then gives you a basic plan at the end. This is definitely DIY, but things that you can start to do to improve. You can get this on my website. You can also get it on Amazon. Get the new version that looks pretty like this. The old version is older. Okay. I know I'm running over and I have Pilates, but I want to answer these questions. Let me just run through these and then I'll see you guys next week. I'm so glad you said, I thought the same thing. If you're not diabetic, why would you take something that's for a medical problem? I agree, with severe consequences. Yeah. Hi, Eli. Glad you made it. Extremely helpful. I'm sending this. Okay. How are you doing? I'm doing great. I am. I'm doing great. I choose to do great. Even on a bad day, I choose to do great. Thank you. All right. Let's see. It's true. I told my doctor about being overweight. He told me to eat healthy and just exercise and have fun with your life. Surround yourself with positive people. Yeah, but you actually have to adopt that too. And I think it's, I've had a lot of conversations with people like, you told me just to be positive, and I'm being positive and it still stinks. And I'm like, look, you can't fake your way through positive, people. I mean, it's real easy to pretend to be positive. I'm not asking. The funny thing is, when I say change your outlook, I'm actually not asking you to fake your way through it. I'm asking you to dig deep and get to your authentic self, your fears, your struggles, Why do you care so much about that 10 pounds? For my mom, she cared because her entire life, she was judged on who she showed up as to them. She got hired if she fit what they wanted, right? I countless times, 13 years old, would walk into a runway audition and I'd stand in line with all these girls and they'd be like, yep, yep. And they'd point to me and say, nope, too big of boobs. Oh, okay. And then you lose the job. You're rejected. Nobody likes to be rejected, right? So think about it. What has built up? I'm asking you to be authentic, actually, and break that down. So that's my tip of the day. This isn't faking your way with positivity. This is truly reconnecting with what brings you joy and dealing with the crap that's holding you back so that you can feel joy and positivity. I hope that helps you guys today. I will be here next week. I'm taking a week off after that because I'll be at a conference. But hey, if this was helpful for you, share it, please. Share it. Tag a person. Let's get more people in here. I just want you guys to know how grateful I am that you show up to listen to me, even when I go off on rants about things that may make people angry. I don't know. Bring it on. I'm sure I'll have some hate mail on that one. But, you know, I believe it. And I'm going to stand and I'm going to protect people as much as I can. And there's never a quick solution to long-term health. So take one step today towards your health. That's all you have to do. Just one little thing. That's all you have to do. Put 25 cents in your bank. Okay? Much love to all of you. Take care.